Hey everyone, welcome back to Glass Ratner's Business Interruption webinar series. So, as factors have unfolded for the COVID virus, and we're starting to see cases ramp up again across parts of the Sun Belt, Florida, where I am, and starting to see some of those states in response roll back some of the phased reopenings. One of the things that is likely to play a factor in a lot of business interruption cases may be how the insurance coverage, assuming there is coverage available, would respond to some of those phased reopenings and then rollbacks as things progress. And so obviously, as governmental entities tell business owners, and particularly food and beverage places, that they may or may not use certain parts of their physical premises, that may play into some of the coverages. So it presents some measurement issues that accountants and claim preparers and the carriers themselves will have to deal with. And so it's a bit of a mess. And so what we're going to try and do is we'll spend the next couple videos here just talking a little bit about that analysis and what are some of the things that we're doing as claim preparers to be able to try and unpack some of that those issues that are cropping up as a result of some of the phase reopenings and rollbacks, things like that. So the way that I'm viewing this is this: there is a scale, and where a business and an insurer may have a discussion in order to try and understand on that scale what portion of the damages are specifically tied to the physical damage. Now, obviously, insurers, they view just in their actions with the wave of denials that none of the financial damages are really related to the physical damage. They're saying it's entirely economic in nature. And, so the job of a claim preparer is going to be looking at the data and trying to determine, in a very supportable way, how much of that, the financial damages, is specifically related to the physical damage. And that may mean trying to peel out some portion of economic damages that are really not driven entirely by the physical damage. But that's really where our job comes in, and it really presents a lot of measurement issues because we're really going to look to dive into whatever the available sources of information are. So obviously businesses are going to have a lot of information about pre and post loss. They got a lot of history, but then we may be looking to some of those other macro source of information in order to try and tie specifically the amount of a financial damage to an insured premises. And we'll talk a little bit next week with one of the members of Glass Ratner's econometrics teams, Dr. Claudia Martinez, who is actually going to assist us. And we'll talk a little bit more about the technical aspects of how you go about doing that. That's something that we've been putting our heads together for probably the last few months. And I think it's going to be really important in order to do that in a very supportable way. So, that may mean looking at some of the differences between some of these rollbacks and the phased approaches. You may look and draw comparisons between one area or the other, but really this is something that requires a decent amount of analysis and know-how in order to be able to do it. Obviously on that scale, if you have the insurers on saying that 0% is related to the physical damage, and then the insurance or the business owners themselves are really looking and saying, no, it's not 0, it's much, much higher, and it's somewhere between 0 and 100. So, that's really the analysis that I think, beyond the coverage arguments that are occurring in courthouses or on Zoom courts all across the country, that's really something that we're looking to do. Is just really be able to identify what portion of the financial damages, because let me take a step back. There's really, there's there's a pretty the high contact industries are the ones that obviously nobody's really going to dispute that there are financial damages. The challenge becomes it to the extent that you have a food and beverage establishment, how much of those financial damages were driven by the physical loss or damage to property, to insured premises. And so, again, we'll talk a little bit more with Dr. Claudia Martinez with GlassRatner's Econometrics Group. Next week, we'll talk a little bit about the economic analysis that we're looking to in order to be able to do that. But that's really there's lots and lots of open questions, and it's really going to take a lot to kind of peel back all the different layers of the onion. So that's all we got for this week. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I want to wish everyone a safe and happy 4th of July, and tune in next week for another edition of GlassRatner's Business Interruption webinar series. Bye.